9. Paul Stenson. Things couldn't get much better for 32-year-old Samantha Rosser during the 2021 holiday season. She was engaged to the love of her life, Paul Stenson, and was looking forward to their upcoming wedding. One night, while the couple and their 2 children were getting ready to watch Christmas movies together at their home in Liverpool, Paul's mom called and invited the youngsters over to meet her new puppy. The couple dropped the kids off at their grandma's house and went to a Christmas party nearby. While they were there, a stranger named Adam Fletcher began hitting on Samantha. She told Paul she was uncomfortable with Fletcher's behavior, so he let the man know that Samantha was taken and politely asked him to back off. Fletcher denied flirting with Samantha, who decided she wanted to go home and went to the car to wait for Paul. Just when it seemed like the matter was dropped and dealt with, Fletcher stabbed Paul in the chest with a kitchen knife as he was leaving the party. He dropped to the floor and died from his injuries. Fletcher was convicted of murder and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 22 years. 8. Yolanda Dillian. Just days before Christmas in 2022, emergency responders were called to a Travelodge hotel in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, on a call of possible violence. They found 54-year-old Uber driver Yolanda Dillian slumped over in her vehicle with several stab wounds and rushed her to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. During the day, Dillian worked as a fiscal budget analyst for the New Orleans Police Department. She moonlighted as an Uber driver to earn money to buy gifts for her family and for kids at her church. Yolanda was extremely well-liked and was known for being extremely kind and hardworking above all else, so it was hard for anyone who knew her to understand why someone would want her dead. In retracing Yolanda's last movements, investigators discovered that she had picked up an Uber customer named Brandon Jamal Jacobs. They didn't have to go far to track him down. He was staying at the same hotel where Yolanda was found. In a written confession, Jacobs allegedly stated that he woke up that morning and decided he was going to kill someone. For no real reason other than he felt like doing it. He chose Yolanda at random and stabbed her from behind while riding in the back seat of her car. Jacobs recorded the horrifying crime with his phone and posted the footage on social media. He faces a second-degree murder charge, which carries a life sentence without parole in Louisiana if convicted. 7. D.K. Chaudhari. After immigrating to the U.S. from India, 37-year-old Dayabhai Kalidas Chaudhari took a job at a convenience store in Dalton, Georgia, where he went by the nickname DK. So it came as a complete shock when a knife-wielding thief chased him into the back room and attacked him one day in 2014. In surveillance footage, DK could be seen trying to hold the back room door shut as the suspect pushes their way in. The culprit stabbed him repeatedly with a long kitchen knife, then attempted to wrap his head in duct tape. To make him die faster, the killer pushed down on DK's body and applied pressure to his nose and mouth. The suspect stuffed a large amount of particular lottery scratch-off ticket into their bag and fled the scene. Investigators traced the crime to a young woman named Sky Mims, who had moved to Georgia from Detroit to pursue a hip-hop career. They connected her to the scene through DNA evidence, a phone she accidentally left behind, and testimony from one of her housemates, who said that Sky had recently shown him some things that matched the description of items that were used in the murder. When police went to arrest Mims for murder, she acted out of control in an apparent attempt to get them to shoot and kill her. Her behavior only became more troubling throughout the court proceedings. Prosecutors alleged that Mims was motivated to commit the robbery out of a strange obsession with the scratch-off ticket she stole. She was struggling financially and seemed to believe that if she got her hands on enough of the tickets, she would eventually score a winner. Her goal was to be able to focus on her art and music without needing a day job. Mims was found guilty of murder, armed robbery, burglary, and other charges. Her attorney urged the judge to consider a parole sentence due to the defendant's obvious mental health issues, while the prosecution agreed not to pursue the death penalty but made no concessions otherwise. The judge sentenced Mims to life in prison without parole. 6. Sudden sinkhole displaces dozens. On Christmas night in 2022, a large sinkhole opened up and swallowed almost an entire parking lot in Patton Township, Pennsylvania. A water main broke during the collapse, forcing dozens of residents to evacuate their homes and find another place to live until repairs took place. After having their holiday disrupted, the displaced residents learned from their homeowners association that they were responsible for having a structural assessment done on their homes within 45 days. To determine if it was safe to return, each homeowner had to find someone to perform the assessment and foot the bill for it. This was just the first step in being able to return home. Once the assessments were out of the way, the HOA would coordinate with the local code administration and water authority to discuss where to go from there. The ordeal has been a nightmare for the affected homeowners, who never expected to be put out of their homes so suddenly, or to face an uncertain future with their housing. Construction crews started filling in the sinkhole in mid-February, and the work appears to be ongoing. According to the most recent update, much of the hole had been filled in, but some parts remained unfilled. It's unclear whether the broken water main has been repaired or if any of the residents have moved back into their homes. 5. Keith Boyce. Nicknamed the Baltimore Running Man, Keith Boyce famously ran 20 miles, 32 kilometers a day, and in every type of weather for over 30 years. Nothing stopped him from his daily exercise routine, which made him a local celebrity of sorts. After enjoying years of peaceful daily runs with no issues, the 62-year-old was attacked one afternoon along his regular route by two men, who shoved him to the ground and beat him. Boyce later told local station WBAL-TV that the attackers continued to punch him after he got back on his feet. Luckily, he managed to flag down a police officer. The suspects claimed that they saw Boyce following a young girl, which he denied, and the officer believed Boyce, but made no immediate arrests. At the time the story broke, he said he was still deciding whether to press charges against his attackers. The community rallied around Boyce, who sustained a black eye and some other facial injuries. He and others used the incident as an opportunity to campaign against the ongoing violence in Baltimore. People had expressed concern for the running man's safety in the past, worrying that his local fame and daily presence in the streets could make him a target. But Boyce was well-liked, and there was no reason for anyone to have a problem with the eccentric but harmless running enthusiast. He vowed not to let the attack stop him from continuing his daily runs. 4. Nicole Hammond. 28-year-old Nicole Hammond's work environment became stressful after a coworker began pursuing her romantically in late 2022 and didn't want to take no for an answer. She repeatedly rejected 36-year-old Michael Carpenter, but he kept making unwelcome advances when they crossed paths at the textile business in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where they both worked. The harassment had been going on for a month when Nicole sent Carpenter a text one evening, making it crystal clear that his behavior would not be tolerated and telling him not to make things uncomfortable at work. She went to work the next day, presumably with the expectation that she had finally gotten through to Carpenter and that things would go back to normal. Instead, she was fatally gunned down in the parking lot. A witness reported hearing a gunshot and then seeing Carpenter running to his vehicle and driving away. Police tracked him down later that day and took him into custody on a second-degree murder charge. Carpenter reportedly claimed that he heard a gunshot and was so traumatized by the sight of Nicole's injuries that he fled the scene. But he also failed to dial 911 or seek help for her like someone would normally do after witnessing a shooting. Other employees at the business told police that Carpenter had a bad temper and that he was upset about Nicole putting her foot down in their conversation the night before. Unfortunately, management wasn't aware of the harassment. The company's CEO, Rob Dubow, told Fox 9 that management steps in at any time their intervention is required, but that they had no knowledge of the situation and no indication that anything was wrong. Nicole's murder came as a shock to Dubow, who described the young woman as a great worker who was liked by everyone she met. If convicted, Carpenter could face up to 40 years in prison. 3. Dustin Prosita. Homeowner Dustin Prosita was relaxing and listening to music at his home near Lake Englebright, California one evening in 2022 when something suddenly hit his porch and burst into flames. He managed to escape the rapidly spreading blaze, but only had enough time to rescue one of his 2 dogs before the residence was completely engulfed in smoke and fire. Residents gathered nearby as firefighters fought the out-of-control blaze. Some people had seen a glowing object falling from the sky, leading to speculation that a meteorite had crashed into Prosita's house. Ring doorbell footage revealed that a mysterious flaming object had, in fact, slammed straight into the home. While it's incredibly rare for meteorites to hit people's houses or cause this kind of damage, it seemed like the most likely explanation in this case. It's unclear whether an official cause for the fire was ever established, but at the time the story broke, a fire department spokesperson didn't dispute that it was a possibility. Sadly, Prosita and his wife lost everything, and they didn't have homeowners insurance, leaving them with nothing but the shirts on their backs. Thankfully, the community stepped in and started a fundraising campaign, which collected enough donations for the couple to buy a camper to live in while they start over, essentially from scratch. 2. Convenience store chaos. What started out as a normal workday for coworkers at a New Jersey gas station in early 2022 quickly went awry when a terrified woman rushed inside, then slammed and locked the door. Barefoot and wearing only a t-shirt and shorts in 42-degree weather, she explained that a man was holding her captive at a nearby residence. An employee dialed 911. The accused kidnapper, 57-year-old James Perillo Jr., allegedly followed the woman to the gas station but left after realizing the door was locked. Harrowing footage showed the victim running into the store with just enough time to lock the door as the suspect approached. Officers found Perillo walking on a nearby street and arrested him on suspicion of first-degree kidnapping and several other crimes. According to police, Perillo and the victim began a consensual relationship in early 2022 after meeting in New Mexico. She became a prisoner after she tried to end the relationship about a month later and said she was assaulted by the suspect, who allegedly took away her phone, ID, and credit cards, and cut her off from contact with her family. For the next year, the pair traveled throughout the country. They had arrived in New Jersey about 2 weeks before the woman escaped and were living in a rented room. She saw her opportunity to run when her captor realized that there were other people in the building and briefly paused in the middle of beating and choking her. The victim remembered from a previous visit to the gas station that its door locked from the inside, so she fled there for safety. Thanks to her quick thinking and bravery, and the employees who helped her, the woman was brought to safety. Perillo remains behind bars while awaiting trial. 1. Pest control procedure destroys home. The owner of a 10,000 square foot, 929 meters squared home in Maryland was dealing with an ongoing snake problem in late 2021 when they decided to try smoking the pesky reptiles out. Hoping to end the infestation once and for all, they burned some coals in their basement and continued about their normal day. But they had made the grave mistake of putting the coals too close to some combustible materials, and the house burst into flames. Nobody was home when it happened, and by the time a passing motorist saw the fire and dialed 911, the blaze had started to spread uncontrollably throughout the multi-story home. 75 firefighters responded to the scene and spent hours getting the fire under control. It continued burning until the next morning. Leaving about $1 million worth of damage in its wake. Luckily, nobody was injured, but things could have turned out much differently if anyone had been inside the house when the flames broke out. The accidental fire highlighted the dangers of using unconventional pest control methods, and how something can go devastatingly wrong in the blink of an eye when someone tries to handle a problem that is better left to a professional. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have your brand new car swept away in a flash flood, or have a large tree fall on your house out of nowhere? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.